Now, the real answer in the end to a lot of what's happening, and here's the really unpopular part with the left. The left destroyed traditional mores with regard to relations between the sexes. Destroyed them wholesale. So the original idea was that men were supposed to act with honor and chivalry in protecting women, and women were supposed to look for example, relationships just as men were. Sexual activity was supposed to be confined, this was at least the ideal, was supposed to be confined to committed relationships, particularly marriage. Not everybody lived up to that, but a huge number of people did. In fact, once people got pregnant, people basically got married. There's studies from the 1930s, 1940s, 1950s shows an awful lot of 7-month marriage babies, right? People who are sleeping together, getting pregnant, and then the couple gets married. When you don't teach men to protect women, you get men who will victimize women. And when you don't teach women that they ought to cherish men who are responsible and good, all you end up doing is incentivizing bad male behavior. The feminist movement was not wrong when they said men are acting like pigs. They were wrong when they said women also ought to act like pigs and that this is a solution to our problem. Because now what's happened is they got rid of all the traditional mores about how sex ought to be connected with love and ought to be connected with relationships. They got rid of all of that. It was just a bodily function now. Except when it comes to actual sexual assault, we treat that differently than any other bodily function, obviously. But that's the problem, right? So they create this standard where sex is basically a throwaway item, sort of like eating. And then we treat sex very differently when it comes to what we all know it is, which is a deeply important and intimate part of a person's life, and then we attempt to backdoor standards of consent that frankly don't make any sense in a real life context. So you get college campuses in California saying that what you need is a yes means yes standard. So, this is where women really gave up on marriage a lot too soon. Okay, marriage was the best thing ever for women. It is an amazing thing for men too, because it civilizes them, it cultures them, it teaches them to be protectors of their family and to take care of people and to think beyond themselves and to think beyond their generation. Women gave up in marriage a way to teach men to do those things, and also women gave up the idea that a commitment was going to come along with this intimacy. And let's be real about this. I mean, every scientific study ever done has shown that women actually do have better sex in the context of committed relationships. All of the crap that you see in Cosmo magazine about sleeping with 100 guys and being sexually happy is just garbage. It is just sheer unadulterated garbage. So, no, long answer to a short question, but reinculcation of traditional roles of male and female with the same feminist respect that we ought to have for women at all steps of the process is the answer.
Now, of course, this is nothing new. Ever since the advent of Photoshop, we've all been warned about the dangers of airbrushing or using waist trainers, or even just the difference a little change in lighting can make. Ta-da! One more thing to take note of as well. Scientists think that it's possible that women who are already a little bit insecure may be drawn to this type of social media.
Body image and the internet. Now, how we view ourselves is massively important for our well-being. Having a positive view of oneself, regardless of our only human flaws, is good for our health. But in 2018, we're bombarded with images of beauty and perfection, and because human beings aren't that bright, we bring lots of these damaging ideas into our lives by the choices we make on social media.
If you're a young woman and partake in that soul-destroying yet peculiarly addictive behavior that is comparison, then the internet is your best friend. Just look at all these women who exercised, ate right, and shabam, the perfect body, the perfect life. Wait, hang on a minute. Could all this fruitless comparison be, gasp, doing some damage?
The more exposure to social media platforms such as Facebook, Instagram, and Pinterest, then the more that affected three of our factors, which were thin idealization, objectified body image, which is the way in which people see themselves, and exercise motivation to exercise purely for the purposes of trying to be slim.
Martin Graff's research not only reaffirmed what we already knew, that social media can contribute to body image issues, but also that the amount of time we spend matters. Women who spent over an hour a day on social media were, in his findings, worse off.
Social media is a kind of different medium in as much as it's not like TV. We've seen our friends doing things, so it's a kind of more real exposure to things, if you like.
There is a small but growing amount of clapback, like this from Sia Alexis Cooper, or Diary of a Fit Mommy. She's built a career from her 1.2 million followers, but she decided to get a little real with this photo, telling her followers they don't need to compare themselves because enhancement surgeries are everywhere. Even though a few posts earlier, she'd posted this ad selling protein powder.
Radical left-wing feminists no longer crave an equal playing field. Their modern version of equality is a pedestal for women built of birth control pills and a pit of manure where men should wallow in their alleged chauvinistic degradation. Check this out.
I saw your hand first, so yes, hello. And maybe just share your name and...
Yes, ma'am.
Oh gosh, you called me ma'am. That makes me feel so old.
I'm so sorry.
No, it's okay. It's okay.
You know nothing. You know nothing.
Well, first off, I would like to state that this is a wonderful idea, and sorry that the first person to get the mic is a man. I do apologize for that. I do think it's important to encourage women's voices. And
He apologized for being a man. Just for being a man, he said he was sorry. Why are you apologizing for being a man? Have you oppressed women? It's not about equal rights for women anymore. No. It's not about a woman's right to vote or a woman's right to work outside the home if she wants. Modern feminism is cultural Marxism masked in a movement. It's about tearing down men, silencing certain women who dare to speak their mind or, God forbid, choose to stay home with their kids while their husbands provide. Radical leftist feminism is about lumping together all the ladies, telling us we should vote with our lady parts for the political expediency of voyeuristic liberal politicos. A lot of ladies in this country actually like our men to be men. We like it when men hold the door for us. We appreciate men who walk closer to the street and who put their hands on our back to gently guide us protectively through a crowd. Do we want the dudes in our country to be a bunch of weaklings who cow behind feminists for the high crime of being born a man? Well, that's exactly what these cultural Marxists want, to cast women as the oppressed and men as the oppressors.
if calling you a sexist is going to do it, or attacking your traditional manhood, or even your alternative manhood, they'll do it, because that has nothing to do with gender. It's all about a liberal agenda.
Right, and you talk about gender discrimination, what they deem to be gender discrimination, but don't you think it's hypocritical in the sense that their platform is the fact that they don't want people to be anti-woman, but then their agenda is pretty much anti-man?
Well, I think you're right, but you know, you look at them and you look at real abuse of women around the world. You know, here we're concerned about microaggressions and somebody looks at you wrong. Overseas, you've got people having acid thrown in their face for wanting to go to school, but they don't care, because if they were real and honest and genuine about wanting to support women, they'd support conservatives. I'm a guy who went overseas. I served with many other Americans, including many women, to protect the rights of all people, including women. That's where the rubber meets the road. That's putting the money where your mouth is. All they do is talk and talk and talk and talk and yak and whine and complain. It's like they're just the worst. They don't really care. It's all about political advantage.
It is. Like you said, I think you said it the best at the very beginning when you said that they're liberals first, feminists second. The feminists are just the medium to advance their political agenda.